Hello, I am alyxweiss, or Ayydubs on the internet. Welcome to episode 2 of Revealing Your Secrets, the podcast. As promised, I have invited my therapist here to join me today in going through your secrets. I wanted to get some professional insight on subjects that I am not equipped to handle myself. This is Meredith Levy.
Hello.
Calling you my therapist is like a half-truth, would you say?
I would say, I think it could go either way.
It's like a fifth of a truth.
It's like a little bit of a truth.
And it's a little bit of a lie.
It's a little bit of a lie. I mean, we have worked together in a client-therapist fashion in the past.
A while ago. You specialize in DBT therapy.
Dialectical behavioral therapy. It's a combination of cognitive behavioral therapy, which is changing your thoughts and feelings to change your behavior, sort of, with Zen Buddhism.
I tried CBT before, and nothing really worked for me until I tried DBT. So I'm a fan.
Yay.
It genuinely changed my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Especially when it came to like emotional regulation. I feel like I was like a very impulsive person.
Definitely can help with that.
Yeah. Before I learned skills, which hopefully we'll share with you guys.
Yeah.
If relevant.
Yeah.
So you were born and raised in LA.
I sure was.
You've been practicing
Very
therapy
proud of that.
For 10 years.
Yeah, at least 10 years. Yeah, around there.
So you tried different areas, but now you work specifically with addiction, mood disorders, personality disorders, and executive functioning problems.
Yes, I love helping people organize and
manage their lives.
Yeah, it's great.
For a second, I thought you were going to be like, I love problems. Like, I love people who have problems.
That too.
You do, though.
I do.
It pays the bills.
Yeah, I will. And I want them to not have the problems anymore, or problems are going to be there. I want to help them react differently to the problems.
No one's ever done with therapy, though.
No, never. But you can take breaks. I'm taking a break now.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you like I shouldn't be?
I mean, try not to do the shouldn'ts, but yeah, at some point it'll come back around for me.
That's a skill that is in DBT, to not should all over yourself.
Not should all over yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because I say, oh, I shouldn't, should, or shouldn't.
Yeah.
So it's complicated.
Yeah.
Anyways, I asked you for some more information about you, and there's this stuff I didn't know, which was very interesting, that you've been a lawyer.
Yep.
Received your MBA. You failed out of school.
Yeah.
And have been in treatment yourself.
Yep. All true.
All of which I kind of want to probe you more about, but probably not yet.
Okay.
I want to make the audience work for it. Yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to work for it.
You know what? Everyone should have to work to learn more about me, little by little.
Yeah, I agree about you specifically.
Specifically, just me. Nobody else.
Okay, so you do another podcast called Your Mental Breakdown with your friend Doug Friedman.
I do.
I listened to the podcast. It was really interesting. From my understanding, the purpose of starting the podcast was to destigmatize what it means to be a therapist and to be in therapy.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Do you want to explain what the podcast format is?
So Doug has a client that he does his actual sessions with, records them audio, and he's given permission, and we change his name. So you listen to the whole session with Doug, and then Doug and I break it down and talk about it, and I give my thoughts and maybe how I would have done things differently or what I agree with or have questions. And
for entertainment purposes. I think we have to legally say that.
For entertainment purposes, yes. We're not your therapist, and we won't give you direct advice, but it's a real therapy session. So there's definitely stuff to take away from it.
So one more piece of information that you gave me that I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Yeah.
You told me that you sleep with a stuffed animal.
I do.
Every night.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the animal, and does it have a name?
It can be any animal. Well, and sometimes if I don't have one, I'll sleep with a sweatshirt or something, if I'm out of town somewhere. It just has it's that thing of,
okay,
I guess, I don't know if you had one when you were little, but I just have that thing where it's something's supposed to be in there. And by the way, having a human in my bed does not do the same thing. I still have to have the thing. So first teddy bear, which I do still have, but he's not, I shouldn't be sleeping with him, is named Dee Dee.
You shouldn't be sleeping. Do you guys have a toxic relationship?
We do. No, he's really old and dirty.
Okay.
So I don't sleep with him anymore.
Okay.
And then the one I sleep with now, one is called Roundy. He's this little round smushy pig. Oh. And I put him under my head. And then the other one is, her name's Ellie. I don't know. She came like that. And she's a stuffed, shit, I literally can't remember. I'm so sorry, Ellie. Right now.
Are you just freezing?
Yeah.
What is Ellie? Maybe she doesn't want to be identified in any specific way.
I think she's an elephant. Ellie the
Okay.
elephant.
That would make sense.
Yeah, that is her. And so then she gets tucked into my arm.
So it seems like the thing itself doesn't matter. It's not an emotional attachment. It's like a physical requirement.
Yeah, it is.
Got it.
Yeah.
Just a human doesn't do it for me either. In fact, I don't want to touch a human.
You're not wrong. Yeah. You know why? Because teddy bears or stuffed animals don't snore.
Yeah.
They don't steal all the covers.
They don't breathe.
They do not breathe.
They don't make it too warm. Like, this is a judgment. I think, when you relate to someone in certain ways, so you kind of project your own feelings onto them.
Yeah.
I take you as someone who also is like, don't touch me while I'm sleeping. Am I wrong?
No, I am. I can start out that way, but I will certainly move. I have a king size bed. Like, stay the fuck on the other side.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, you can swear.
Okay. Thank God. Because that would be weird.
I actually don't know. Can she swear?
Okay.
You can swear.
Because that would be hard for me to be here. But yeah.
We're talking about like really dirty, dark things. And they're like, no, you can't say fuck.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Okay, I really needed to know that information. Ellie the elephant, something Roundy the round pig.
Smushy pig.
Okay. Maybe you can bring him in sometime.
I absolutely will. Next episode.
You don't have to.
No.
I would like it.
I will.
Hi, Alex. I don't know if you're gonna put fucked up secrets in your videos, but here is mine. So basically, whenever I was about 10 or 11, I would go on Omegle and weird online chat rooms where I'd find these like I don't know whether or not to call them pedophiles or straight up predators, but they were like 40-year-old men, and I would tell them I was like 12 or 13, which I was 10 like /11. I'd do it like mostly through those ages. But yeah, and they knew that, and I would send like nudes and stuff, and they would send back, and they would like make me feel really special or whatever. And I mean, I feel like it's my fault for going out and like searching for that, but I've been like, I had a reason, and I didn't really know any better because I've been like gay all my life, and I've never really felt like I've had that attention like sexually from anybody. I know it's like weird talking about that, like involving like a 10 or 11-year-old. I'm not that age anymore, but yeah, I thought like what I was doing was love, but yeah, now I'm talking about it with my therapist, and I think I'm getting better. So yeah, but that's my secret.
Yikes.
Okay, well, I have questions for you.
Yeah.
I feel like it's actually not that uncommon for kids to have like a compulsive desire to be sexualized. Is that wrong? I guess if I'm trying to create an environment where people are open, I'll be honest. I have some sexual trauma as a child, and so I have always attested like my own that I've had feelings similar to what this kid experienced, and I always thought it was just because of my trauma. But then I've been doing this secret series for years, and it seems like it's actually kind of common for kids to like seek stuff out like this.
So to want to be sexualized, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I wonder if kids would even be aware of
that's what it is.
that that's what it is. I think it's definitely common as a kid to experiment sexually, more like humping your teddy bear or like
kissing your friend.
Like, yeah, for sure. Like, let me see yours, I'll show you mine type thing. You're probably not old enough to remember, but when we were young, there was like a 976 phone number you could call. It was like a dirty phone number where you could have like
phone sex,
group chats or like phone sex.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it was literally like $100 a minute. I don't even remember. So everyone used to get in so much trouble from their parents for calling. It was because you like didn't need a credit card. It would bill your phone bill.
Okay.
So, I think everyone at some point wants to like, there's taboo things that they sort of want to engage in.
Did you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. I definitely made out with my friend in like second grade and like humped my teddy bear and called 976 numbers for sure.
Same.
Yeah.
But different, but same.
Yeah.
So how is this any different, like in the world we live in now? Is this not like equivalent to calling whatever you said?
From our caller's point of view,
Yeah.
totally get it. 100%. It's not that different. From the person engaging with what they think is a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Nudes, that is all very, very, very illegal.
Yeah.
Just so everyone knows. Don't even Google child porn.
Yeah.
Like, just don't do it. From his point of view, though,
yeah,
it's not uncommon to want attention in whatever way.
Yeah, and he did say love. Like, I don't even know if he processed that it was sexual at the time.
Yeah. No, for sure. And
I wonder if that's even how I felt now that I think back at it.
I'm sure. I think that it's really hard for us to tap into our sexuality as a kid. Like, you kind of know something made you feel good, like warm and fuzzy, but then I think you also know when something doesn't sit well with you.
The responsibility undoubtedly falls on the like predatory person engaging.
Yes.
Because the kid doesn't really even understand what they're doing.
Right.
But as a child who you have like this conscious awareness that you put yourself in that situation, like I feel like there's like a shame around it. Because it's yeah, it was wrong on them, like no matter what, but I did put myself there.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of shame, I think, for sure. And even if you're sexually assaulted, well, kid or otherwise, there's a lot of shame, I think, because people are like, did I put myself in that position?
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone to know because now there's something wrong with me. I mean, I think this is definitely a deep, dark secret that I'm glad he's talking to his therapist about.
Me too.
For sure.
What's something people can do to work through shame in relation to sexual traumas?
I mean,
like, it's too much.
It's huge. That's huge. Talking about it with your therapist, definitely good.
Yeah.
And just trying to accept, like, can't change the past. And so moving forward, not making different choices that it was your decision, but how you perceive it. You know, that's a lot of the CBT part, is changing your, thoughts and feelings to change your behaviors.
So it would be like this person changing their perception of themselves from the experience, like an empathy for their child self.
Totally.
Yeah. How do you know what type of therapy to prescribe to someone in this specific scenario?
I don't think there's one specific therapy for any specific scenario. So, psychoanalysis, like real psychoanalysis, the sort of Freud where you lay on a couch and you do it 5 days a week and you just talk. From that to DBT, to just talk therapy, to somatic therapy, sand therapy, which is like little toys in the sand type. I mean, there's so many things
I want to try it all.
I really want to try it all. I keep thinking about that. Like Gestalt therapy. I mean, there's so many different kinds, and there's not one, I think, that wouldn't work for all different scenarios. I think it's sort of what you connect with, and maybe just trying a couple different things.
Yeah, that's what I did. I did therapy that just didn't work until I found DBT.
And it depends on the therapist a lot too, the connection that you have.
That's true. That's huge.
Yeah.
And sometimes you outgrow your therapist.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had to break up with a therapist before.
I have too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so funny. I was nervous to do it, but it's like, this is the safest place to break up with anyone.
And if your therapist does not respond well to that, that's a huge problem for them.
Yeah.
Like,
and a good sign that it's good that you're leaving that therapist.
To move on, for sure.
Speaking of moving on.
Hi, Alex. Basically, I submitted The Secret a little while back, but like never got read. So I thought, hey, I'll try again. And it's like, not exactly my secret to share, but like it's anonymous, so nobody's going to know. And so basically, this was 4 months ago. So during December, I was on a school trip and staying in a room with 3 other guys. One of which was one of my good friends, and then the other 2 were like 2 of the popular guys. And we were only there for one night. And in the middle of the night, I wake up to see the most popular guy in my year group and my class. Well, I don't know exactly how to phrase this. Pleasuring himself. And he was like sitting there with like his finger up his ass, kind of like moaning another guy's name. And his whole reputation is built on being like homophobic. If you're homophobic, you're probably gay. And like, I don't know, I haven't said anything to anyone because like I'm not a horrible person. But yeah, just wanted to get off my chest. Also, I love your videos.
Wow.
So at the end, he sang a little ditty. Did you hear that?
I wasn't sure what happened there.
Yeah. So okay, I have to perform something for you, so you have the context.
Okay.
There's this song I do on my channel. It's an original. And I'll just sing it for you.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. Here it is.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I'm nervous actually.
I'm nervous to sit this close and have you sing to me. I just want you to know that. So. Okay.
All right.
Because what if you're really bad?
I'm not. It's not about the quality
Okay.
of my singing.
Okay.
It's the.
Okay.
It's just listen to the words.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
I actually can't look at you.
Okay.
If you're homophobic, you're probably gay. You say that it's disgusting, but really you just want some pussy or some butt play. If you're homophobic, you're probably just gay.
First of all, you have a really good voice.
Thank you.
I'm shocked. Is that a thing?
I was a theater kid,
Oh my.
so I've had some practice.
That is you have a great voice.
Oh my god.
Also, wow. Did you just make that up one day or?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, because in my opinion, a lot of people who are homophobic, I don't know, seem a little gay to me.
You're not wrong.
Okay.
That's coming from me, not as a clinician, but from me as just a regular person.
Observing
Yeah.
the human experience.
Yeah. It just, especially when you're over the top, right?
It's like, what are you overcompensating for?
I get it. I mean, people are religious, whatever. But at the same time,
I've gotten some feedback about the song.
okay.
A lot of people like it, but then there's some comments that are essentially like it minimizes the the harm, the violence to the LGBTQIA plus community, or like homophobia is a systemic culture of inequality, and singing the song blames it on gay people rather than the straight people who are enacting the laws that keep inequality in place or like continue to perpetuate the culture.
I a little bit tuned out. You were talking because it was so much.
It was a lot.
It was like,
those are the comments that
I get it. That's a lot.
It's a lot. Did you hear anything?
I did, but I just think like, I know, but it's like funny.
Exactly.
Like
it's fine. We're giggling.
it's funny. It's not like, I understand everything you said and everything everyone else is saying. And I also think like, there's also a time to laugh about anything and everything.
Yes. I do want to know, like, is there actually a psychological explanation to that theory that like someone would be hateful towards something that they are personally repressing?
Well, internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Being gay can be a hard life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a lot of people will fight against it, hoping that it's not true or trying to make it not true because it can be a hard life, or their parents or whatever. This guy, when I picture the guy that he's talking about that's like sticking his finger up his butt, I picture, like I wasn't picturing that whole thing, but I picture like the jock, right?
Yes.
And
yeah.
in like movies, like the jock's dad would not be happy with that.
True.
Right? I loved how he was so timid about being like, I don't know how to phrase this, like pleasuring himself, just jerking off. I don't know. Like
whacking one out.
Yeah, because then he was like straight for like finger up his butt.
I know
like,
that
he
part.
wasn't like pleasuring himself.
Finger up his butt.
Not just one. You had a few there.
Oh my god. The lack of shame at that point in the secret.
Yeah. I was like, okay. That's a bold move for that guy to make in the room with his friends.
I would never.
No. Mm-mm. I mean, even like he could jerk off, but like he had to really position himself
He
to
was
like
moaning someone's name.
That is intense.
Do you think he wanted to get caught?
I mean, unconsciously, how could you not? I mean, maybe even consciously. I wonder whose name he was moaning. Was it one of the guys in the room?
Yeah, maybe they were like involved in some way that the kid didn't know. Okay, so the consensus is if you're homophobic, you are probably gay, which is the lyric in the song, but you're not necessarily gay.
No, and I don't know that you're probably gay. You might be gay.
Yeah.
You may be. And do we assume that gay goes along with all the other acronyms? Or?
I don't know. The song, I guess, speaks only to like lesbian, gay.
I don't know that if you're homophobic, you're probably pansexual. Like that doesn't fit.
I feel like I did what you said when I was growing up because I guess I identify mostly with pansexual, and like growing up I pushed against it and like did things to be like, look, if I'm doing this,
Right.
I'm not gay.
Right.
So I'm sure people who are hateful might have that same thought process.
Yeah.
That's not what I did.
Right.
I was like hurting myself more than anything.
Right.
But I could see where it would come from.
Right. Because if you express it enough, then like, see, it's not true.
Yeah. It's funny. Sometimes when I'm really loud about stuff, I go, why am I being so loud about this?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like, and also when we see something that we don't like about in someone else, it's usually about us.
Yeah. I'm dealing with one of those right now.
Like right this second.
Yeah. No. I hate you.
Have you heard if you spot it, you got it?
No.
Whoa. Amanda, can they hear your
Yes,
voice?
they can hear
okay.
me.
No, that's a good one.
I like that. But thank you for answering that question. I needed to know if you're homophobic, you're probably gay. And the answer is no.
No.
But we can sing it because it's a good time.
It's a great song.
Yeah. Are you going to, if I send you the
I'm
MP3, will you listen?
It's in my head now.
Okay.
And which is kind of a problem.
You've got mail.
The next segment is our written submissions. So I'm going to performatively read them for you.
Okay.
Seems like I'm performing for you a lot.
Well, I'm going to not look at it and just
And let you
perform.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm telling you this. It's just been getting hard to keep it to myself. I believe I have developed sexual preferences from seeing my dog die. In 2019, my family dog passed away in front of me. Seeing a dead body awoke something in me. Seeing her struggling to breathe, blood bubbling out of her nose, she died. Sorry, the way they wrote it. It was late in the evening and the vets were closed. My dad left the body in the garage and everybody went to sleep. Well, not everyone. I snuck into the garage and laid with the body for about an hour taking photos of the body. I still look at the photos, not because it's a dog, but because it's a dead body. Even my unconscious mind thinks about it. I have dreams about it 2 times a month. My last dream, I stalked my favorite actor, he's hot, and followed him home. I then snuck in through his window and strangled him. The murder dream quickly turned into a sex dream. I will not go into more details, but I will say I woke up with the evidence. It makes me so upset as I cannot legally fulfill my sexual desires. Did watching my dog die mess up my sex life forever? Probably. The worst part is that I got horny from writing this. When I get really horny, I want to kill animals. Though I would love for it to be a human. But when I need pleasure, I will place a small mouse trap in the shed. The mouse trap is small and I can then put it in another container. When in the container, I make sure the mouse gets out of the trap, quickly pull, mice jump, out once the tub is completely full. I put tape over the hole so no water gets out. I then watch and wait while jerking myself off as this mouse slowly drowns. I'm so sorry to everyone. I understand it's not right, but it gets me so horny. These mice are invasive. I understand you will tell me to get help, but I am too embarrassed for my family to know any of this. Also, please don't report me to the FBI, as I have not done too much illegal things, just killing invasive mice. Please also don't leak my email or my pictures. Anyways, love your vids.
Who picked this one? Just wondering.
Why is it too heavy?
It's a lot.
It's bad.
It's a lot. I mean, I want to say let's not have judgment, bad or good, but it's
if someone's hurting anything.
Yeah, it's not great. That's for sure. There's so much to unpack here. First of all, don't know why the FBI would be involved. Just don't worry about that. Because it would not happen. There was the last part where it said something about hurting animals, although I wish it were humans.
Yeah.
Was that like in their dream they wished they were hurting humans? Or
my perception of what they were saying was that like when they're doing it to the mouse, they wish that it would be a human.
Okay, so I'm hearing some maybe homicidal ideation and some potentially sociopathic tendencies. And so, I would say, yes, get help. You don't have to tell your parents what's going on at all to get help. Any therapist will either, hopefully not judge and will be able to help you, or will direct you to someone who can specialize in things like that. And definitely before it escalates, I would say.
Yeah.
I do not know if it was triggered by the dog.
I wanted to ask you about that, but I have so many different thoughts. This is like there's a lot going on.
There's so much here.
This person must feel some shame about it if they're submitting it as a secret, which like implies that they probably don't want to feel this way.
Yes, I don't think they do. I've worked with pedophiles before. This is not about a pedophile, but just I feel like most people think that's as bad as it can get.
Yeah.
And 98% of them don't want it to be the way it is. Like, hate it about themselves, just are horrified. So maybe this person feels the same way, or
I don't think they would have submitted it if they didn't feel that way.
yeah, and if they don't want to tell their family,
They don't have to.
yeah.
So it's like a matter of nipping it in the bud. Is that the expression? As quickly as possible?
I would say, yeah. And, mice might be invasive. Also, I don't think drowning them is the answer.
I actually love mice. I used to have a pet mouse. So this makes me really sad.
Yeah. I mean, it's
It's a lot.
it was a very descriptive detail of the mice, too.
You said that you don't think that what happened was a result of the dog dying.
I'm not sure. I mean, I think whatever tendencies are there are definitely, there's a predisposition, and maybe they were like awakened by the dog. It probably would have come out at some point anyway, I'm guessing, because I think it opened an opportunity, right? Like, I don't know that it was because the dog died, but I think it opened an opportunity for, most people don't have like dead carcasses next to them on the regular, right? So it allowed that to happen.
So, okay, I've heard this idea that a lot of sexual fetishes do come from trauma. And so when I hear this, I'm like, oh, there's an example of that happening. Like, in order for this person to process this trauma, it turned into this. To me, that would mean that there was like no predisposition, or like something came before. Yeah.
There's a lot of different theories for sure. And I think a lot of them are possible. I think for sure there's a lot that happens when somebody has experienced sexual trauma, especially as a kid, in terms of, what they end up doing growing up, or how their future relationships are, or addiction, self-harm, whatever it is. But I do think a lot of it can happen even without trauma.
Just because it's a part of who you are, like naturally.
Yeah. I mean,
I have found that there are like certain times in my life where certain things oddly appeal to me, and I can directly relate it to an issue that I have.
okay.
So I guess I'm just speaking from. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah. Do you have an example?
Oh my God.
Okay. You don't have to give a.
Oh my God, I can. I'm just like, do I want to? Okay, I'll be like kind of broad
Vague.
about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a history of sexual trauma, like abuse. And for me, there was a while where like the idea of being like taken advantage of was hot to me. And I didn't like that, and it felt wrong. And so then I was like, okay, well, this comes from my trauma.
Right. Which is probably very true and very accurate. And I think someone can have that in their life without having it come from sexual trauma.
So this is similar to, if you're homophobic, you might be gay, but not probably.
Right.
If you have a fetish, it might be a trauma, but not probably.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think the more open people are about like certain fetishes and stuff, there's such a continuum. So like, I dated a guy once that had a total foot fetish, or at least with my feet. And do I think, like, is that different than this type of fetish? Yes, for sure. The other thing is about trauma, there is a thing called invalidation trauma, which is basically trauma from being invalidated. And so trauma doesn't have to be what we think of it as. typically, right? It doesn't have to be something that happened physically or emotionally, like in terms of like horrible emotional abuse in the way we typically think about it. It can just be in validation.
Subtle, seemingly subtle.
Yeah. Or like gaslighting, right?
Yes. If you could tell I had a reaction to you saying that, it's
Yeah.
because like literally last week, my therapist, who you know, sent me a form on invalidation trauma. And yeah, I didn't realize that could like be so traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can this person most easily get help in a way that isn't exposing themselves to people they know, or even like kind of casting a net where they have to tell multiple people? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I would say with all the resources out there now, maybe something online.
Yeah.
They have even like apps, right, where you can reach out and get some therapy, or you can do like a phone call and audio and not necessarily have to go in person. If you don't want your family to know, there's low-cost therapies that you can find out there. And also, if you're younger than 18, normally you need parents' consent, people think, but you actually don't.
Oh.
So
fun.
Look it up. And I'm sure all states are different.
Okay, one more really quick question.
Yeah.
You said you dated someone with a foot fetish?
Yeah.
How'd you feel about it?
You know what? At first I was like, ugh. And then he sucked on my toes and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that felt good.
Yeah.
So-
I don't disagree.
Yeah. I also have pretty feet though.
So he may just have liked yours. Probably not.
Sure, probably not. But if my feet were disgusting, I wouldn't have probably enjoyed maybe. Who knows?
So don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. I cannot get over my ex-therapist, and I don't know why. Before I started therapy, I knew I had quite a lot of mommy issues, and this already resulted in me getting attached to my history teacher. However, I got over this, and when I started to really get attached to my therapist, I thought when I would stop therapy, the attachment would leave. But oh my God, was I wrong? It's been a couple of months since I've last seen her, but she is on my mind every day, and I keep thinking about ways I could find out more stuff about her or go to spots where she might be. Or maybe I want to do that, but then I'm like, that's kind of stalkerish, so let's not do that. I have tried so hard to get rid of this, and I'm so embarrassed by it. I tried talking about it with her as well, and she knows how attached I was and that I completely stalked her on Facebook, which resulted in her blocking me on Facebook, LOL.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I may see her this summer after exams because she told me we could hang out then, but only if I'm not attached to her anymore, and I don't know what to do because my attachment is not leaving anytime soon. How do I let go? I'm literally out of ideas.
Oh, I'm sorry. Also, what? Like that therapist that's not okay.
The let's hang out?
No, the let's hang out as long as you're not attached.
Really weird.
So many things not okay about that. If you're listening.
Probably not, but.
Yeah, but no. And it's really normal to get attached to your therapist. You know, the idea is mommy issues are not like sometimes if you do have, you know, a lack of a female figure in your life, therapist can sort of provide that for you. And it's normal once you're being so open and honest and vulnerable with someone to get attached to them, for sure.
Whether you have like pre-existing issues. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, you connect with somebody. And by the way, as a therapist, like I get attached to my clients sometimes and I totally miss them when they're gone. And I am not.
That's beautiful.
Oh, I know. Well, I'm not going to stalk them for sure.
That's good.
Yeah. So I think there's a line between really missing them and thinking about them a lot. And then how much do you feed into that, right? So how much do you, if you're thinking about them every day, are you doing anything to try to like interrupt those thoughts, or are you feeding into it by stalking on Facebook? And which is, by the way, like why me personally and most people I know don't let their clients be part of their social media, because then it just becomes
into weird territory.
Yeah, and then also some clients you're like don't want them, and then they're like, why am I not? You know,
these clients are fine. No,
that good. So yeah, that sucks. And I think just the idea that she's tried really hard to get rid of it and doesn't want to engage in it, that's like we're moving in the right direction.
When I think about like DBT skills that she could use, the distract tool.
Yep.
So when it comes up, instead of stalking, like go do something else.
100%. Opposite action, right? Just trying to interrupt those thoughts. So like when you're having those thoughts, grab some ice. Right? When you want to stalk, like go take a walk instead.
Yep.
But maybe listen to music while you do it so you don't ruminate on the idea or the person.
When you say grab ice, do you mean like the tip skill?
Yeah, the tip skill.
I'm sure a lot of people don't know that.
Tell them.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try. What you changing your body chemistry helps you alter your emotional experience. So if you're having like a really hard time, to like dunk your face in water or put ice on yourself.
Yeah.
I know some people even do it with hot, but hot doesn't help me as much as cold. It'll help you kind of like enter a new headspace.
Yeah, the reason cold works so well, and in DBT now there's a caveat that if you have any heart issues, don't do this.
Oh, okay.
So I just want to put it out there. The cold water helps lower your blood pressure and your heart rate. It can. So that's why it sort of can calm you down, and like if you're like at a 10. But anything that like intense exercise, right? Do 10 jumping jacks, something like that can really help just like snap you out of it, or at least distract you for, even if it's 10 seconds, to interrupt that thought process.
So in essence, it's just like, don't feed it.
Totally.
You can not answer because you probably might not be able to, but have you ever had like stalkery issues as a therapist?
I have.
And can you give any information, or would that not make sense?
That probably wouldn't make sense, but I will say it's like having the compassion and the non-judgment, and also like it feels very uncomfortable, and nobody wants that.
No.
And so trying to find that boundary and also safety, and but yeah, it's
and obviously talking about it is not the move in terms of this specific subject.
no.
Let's invite them to.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Let's bring it on and see how. And by the way, was in the past, I hope.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
I'm really curious, but I will move on.
Yeah.
I will respect your boundary.
Thank you.
I went to Las Vegas for a few days. My friends and I kind of didn't want to walk the hour back to the car, so we tried to take the back way through the casino. Well, we get to the back and realize that we're on some back road. No big deal, right? Wrong. We're walking down the street, and there on the side of the sidewalk was a man. He had his full dick and balls out and was masturbating right there. I loved your little... Oh. It was fucking nasty. He looked my friends right in the eye. By the way, I'm a lesbian, so this shit just traumatized me. Anyways, moral of the story, don't look to the sidelines in Vegas.
I mean, this is a pretty big macro aggression.
Yeah.
I don't know that because she's a lesbian, it was any better or worse.
I don't think that makes a difference.
But it's not something I would ever want to see anyway. Dicks and balls are just not attractive to me. Just FYI. Like, not that I don't enjoy them, but I don't want to see them.
When you choose to enjoy them.
When I choose to enjoy them, I still don't want them like in my face. They're just not that attractive, or maybe in my face, but like eyes closed. I'm just saying.
Oh my God. It's like a necessary evil.
It is. I mean, women's bodies are so much more attractive, and there's no like protruding parts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just not.
Men's bodies they're invasive.
They are. And don't get me wrong, like all the other parts of men I find, but just the dick and balls. I don't know that any guy looks at their dick and balls and is like, wow, this is hot.
I don't think you're right.
I could be wrong. Just like an appendage. It's weird.
Yes.
Just saying.
So how does someone even validate an experience like that when you come out of it being like, wow, that was really fucked up, but nothing really happened, I guess.
Yeah, it is hard. I think, again, there's a continuum. Whatever your own experience is what's important.
Yeah.
Something in you may click and just be like, holy shit, and maybe it triggers a lot of other things. Mm-hmm. Do I think that seeing someone flash you, it's on a different continuum, I think, than like being raped?
Yes.
But I also think if you've never been raped, that's your own trauma, is being like flashed or whatever.
Right.
But I think anything that's upsetting it's upsetting to you. So it's validated. It's totally valid.
We're all valid.
We are. All of our thoughts and feelings are valid.
You sound like you look like you're not sure about that.
Okay, there are invalid. When something is not a fact, it's invalid.
Yes.
Right? Like, I'm not going to validate the fact that you think that the world is flat. Like,
yeah.
No, it's not. It's just not. I mean, as far as we know.
Your feelings are valid.
Your feelings are always valid. Yeah.
Your thoughts,
not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, often.
And also, something that you learn in DBT is that feelings aren't facts.
Yep.
But the fact that you're feeling it is valid.
We don't say the fact that you're feeling it. Just feel it.
Oh, because I'm using the word fact.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
this
that's
is
confusing.
Kind of confusing.
Yeah, feelings are always valid. So, but feelings, you want to check in with yourself. Is it a fact or a feeling?
Well, I'm feeling sorry that you got flashed.
I know. Sorry you're traumatized. And also, don't look to the sidelines in Vegas. Oh, the side, like to the side.
Basically, just like close your eyes if you're in Vegas. That's what I do when I go to haunted houses. I wear a sweatshirt backwards. That's what I'm going to do if I ever go to Vegas.
Why would you go in a haunted house if you hate haunted houses?
I don't anymore, but when I was in high school, I like wanted to be involved.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, I don't like haunted houses.
me neither. It's like, why am I putting myself through this? I don't
Great
even
question.
watch horror movies.
Great question.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Whoa, what do you mean?
I'm just saying, if you hate it and you put it, why are you putting yourself through it?
To be, I don't know, to be accepted by others, to fulfill the second, is it the second most important Maslow's hierarchy of needs? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll work on that. Okay, Meredith.
I'm just saying, don't do it.
Okay, this is our last segment of secrets today. I'm going to read you a secret and we're going to get on the phone with this person.
Right, okay.
So think about, I don't know, what you want to know. I was groomed by one of my teachers at high school. When I was a sophomore, I was 14. The first class I had of the day was current events, so that's the first place I went. The teacher was super friendly and really cool. I was having trouble at home, so I kind of latched onto this teacher, and since I was 14, I fell in love with him. He was 49 when we met, just a warning. I obviously was like, there's no way he'll ever like me back. That Christmas, I gave all my teacher gifts because my parents were teachers, and I know how thankless being a teacher can be. After I did that, he brought me a Christmas gift, telling me that his parents always taught him to give gifts to people who gave them to you. I thought this was sweet, but not like romantic necessarily. Then he just started bringing me random gifts throughout the school years, like CDs and stuff. On the last day of my sophomore year, he told me to come see him before I left because he had a gift for me. I was like, oh my God, maybe he does like me. I went to see him and he had made me a mixtape. It was a CD with 10 or so songs that he thought I needed to hear. I told him that he was going to make me cry. He told me not to cry and that it should tide me over until we could see each other again. I listened to that album over and over again. Then I had him again my junior year. He was my last class of the day that year, but things continued on like the previous year. He gave me gifts, and I would stay after school and organize his classroom to spend more time with him. I was in heaven having his attentions. I'm a bigger girl, so no one had ever paid romantic attention to me. Christmas break came around, and I gave my teachers gifts again. He gave me the worst wrapped present I ever seen, but it made me smile because it was him. Like, that was him embodied as a rap job. What is that even? Like, he was a fucking mess? Like, what? There were 3 albums inside and a note saying that he was browsing a used music store and found these albums that would be perfect for me. I couldn't believe that he was thinking about me outside of school too. Everything was perfect. I was on cloud 9. Then we came back from Christmas break and I got pulled into the principal's office and I was asked if I was having an affair with this teacher because they were hearing rumors. I immediately denied it and burst into tears. It wasn't technically an affair because it was never physical. I was told I wasn't allowed to talk to or see him anymore, and I was devastated. We had a meeting with my parents, and he blamed the whole thing on me, saying he had always had a wall between him and his students and that he'd never cross. So I dealt with everything alone, being bullied every day because of these rumors. It took me almost 4 years to admit to myself that I was groomed/abused and that had he not gotten caught, I might have slept with him. No repercussions ever came to him, just me. He still works at the school. I have been carrying this around with me for almost 5 years. Sometimes I think I'll never get over it. Anyways, that's my story. There's probably typos in this. I'm shaking typing this out, so I apologize. Wow.
Wow.
That's heavy.
That's intense. I'm sorry that happened to her.
Well, we're going to talk to her.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's talk to her. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. This is Meredith.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
You too.
She's our therapist, so for all the areas where I'm not qualified to speak, Meredith can help us.
Okay, well, I've never actually talked to a therapist about this at all, so we'll see. This is the first professional opinion I'm getting.
Wow.
Okay, that's
Okay,
good.
okay.
That's important. Okay, well, we read your secret.
Yeah.
First off, I'm really sorry that happened to you.
Yeah. No, horrible.
Yeah.
And You've never talked to a therapist about it? Have you ever seen a therapist before and just never mentioned it?
I have, and I did mention it, just not to the full extent. I just
Okay.
said like, oh, this guy that I'm like dating, because at the time I had not yet accepted and or realized that it was grooming. So I didn't want to be like, it was my teacher,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Also, it's reportable.
Well, the school knew and they did nothing, so I guess.
Oh, that's great.
Wait, so I do have a lot of questions. And by the way, if we ever veer towards a territory that you don't want to talk about, just let us know.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think that'll happen, but I for sure will.
All of it started with gifts, like basically just exchanging gifts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Would you say? And then,
Well,
yeah.
Like I had him for 2 classes my sophomore year. So I had him first hour and 7th hour. So the first hour of the day and the last hour of the day. And I was like, oh, that guy looks cool. And like, I've always been close with teachers because my parents are teachers. So like, I try to appreciate them in a way that most students don't. And that's kind of how it started.
Do you feel like he was receptive to the fact that you were showing appreciation, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was, you said he's 49?
He was 49 when it started, yeah.
Okay.
Were there moments at the time where you sensed that things were maybe like uncomfortable or wrong, or was it hard to see in the moment?
I didn't feel like it was wrong at all.
Yeah.
I just felt like this is like something special to me because I'm a larger girl, so no guys had ever paid attention to me before. And so when I started getting this positive attention from an older guy who was interested in me, it wasn't like, this is like very red flaggy. It was like, oh my goodness, someone actually has an interest in me.
And you said, though, that you had never had anyone have romantic interest in you. So did you realize or think that this was romantic interest coming from your teacher?
Yeah.
What gave you that feeling?
Like it wasn't immediate. It wasn't really until the end of my sophomore year when he made me that mixtape and was like, don't cry, like we'll see each other soon, that I was like, this might be reciprocal here.
Did he give off the impression that he thought it was wrong? Like, was he kind of suspicious about giving it to you? Was there like an essence of hiding? No.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Was the
not in the beginning anyway. The mixtape was very secret, but like the beginning, like Christmas gifts were not like really.
But then it got more secret.
Yeah, like the last gift he ever gave me, he was like, you need to come to my room before Christmas break so I can give you this thing.
Was that the mixtape?
No, he gave me the mixtape the end of the first year we were like involved.
What was the last gift he gave you?
He had gone to a used record store near where we live and hand-picked out 3 different albums that were perfect for me. He wrote this like note that was like, I was browsing through the store and saw these things and thought perfect for you. And sorry for my generic gift because I had said that giving CDs was generic because that's what I had done for multiple gifts.
What was on the mixtape?
Yes.
A lot of early 2000s pop punk music.
Okay.
Nice.
Like Bowling for Soup. There was some like Alkaline Trio on there, some Bad Brains, that kind of stuff, because that was the kind of music he liked and the kind of music that I liked. And so he like made me this like 10, 12 like song mixtape. And he told me he wanted to make more, but his computer wouldn't work, so he didn't.
So they weren't like romantic songs, but it was like you guys shared this interest that he was expressing with you.
They weren't romantic in the like traditional sense where it's like, I love you, but like there's the one Bowling for Soup song where they're like, all I wanted was to see her naked. That was on there.
Oh,
that's really inappropriate. That's really bad. So we talked a lot about the gifts. Like I kind of am curious about like the energy that you guys exchanged when you were in school. Like what was your dynamic like during a regular school day?
Well, I would, after school every day, I would go to his classroom and straighten all of his desks and all of the journals, because he had these bins of journals, and I really didn't like it when they looked ugly. And we would have like these after school kind of clandestine moments together. It was never physical because obviously it was grooming. He was waiting till I was 18. But we would just like, like hang out and talk about things that you probably shouldn't talk to your student about.
Like what?
Like just like his personal life and like all of his problems and just like things that a 14-year-old shouldn't be having to deal with.
Did you leave high school before you turned 18?
Yes, I was 17 when I graduated.
Okay. And you guys stopped talking or?
Well, when I was a junior, after we had gotten back from Christmas break, rumors had been spreading around that we were sleeping together. And so I got called to the principal's office about this. And obviously then the contact was cut off and he just blamed everything on me.
Was there any part of you that when you heard the rumor that you were sleeping together that it felt like special to you? Or
not that we were sleeping together, because I'm asexual. So I was like, that's not anything I was interested in. But the fact that other people were spreading it around, like it was important enough gossip to be spread around the school, was interesting.
Like a different experience than you've had before.
Yeah, for sure. It was very strange.
I feel like I personally, if I was in this situation, I would almost have felt like validated that about the relationship.
Yeah.
Because other people saw it.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that like other people like knew that he treated me special and would like bring it up, because a lot of other girls in the school had a crush on him as well, but none of them were treated the way that I was, and so they were all kind of jealous of me because like I was better than them.
Wow.
What type of stuff do you think people saw that gave them that impression? Like, was it the way he spoke to you in class?
Yeah, and like the interactions outside of class, like I said, like after school and whatnot, and like before school, sometimes I would go and hang out with him. And like people knew about the gifts. They like, it wasn't a secret. And I guess there was one time where they were watching some movie in class and the woman's name is similar to my name, but not my name. And he said my name instead of hers. And everyone was like, that's not right. And he just would not listen to them.
Wow.
Interesting.
So he blamed you. Were you guys, when the conversation was had, were you face to face? Like in the same room when he got in trouble or got fired or?
Yes, we met with my parents.
So it was your parents, you and him and the principal.
And the principal, yeah.
Wow.
He was a piece of shit, by the way.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Yeah.
And what he just basically was like, I have boundaries and it's her that created the issue?
Yeah, he said, I have a glass wall between my students and I've never crossed it.
So that would be like, yeah. I mean, as a therapist, we can't ever say like, you're the most special to me or like treat them, or be friends with them or something like that. Like that sounds like a figure of authority, right? He should be treating you like everyone else, basically. I mean, we all have our favorites, but like you don't
show it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and this was next level, obviously.
I have a question for you, which is when you were having this conversation in the principal's office, it seemed like everyone was invalidating the fact that he was participating in this relationship. Did your parents take your side?
My parents knew that about the gifts and knew the way that he treated me and knew that it wasn't just me. So they just wanted to make sure that there was no like physical abuse happening in the situation. But they did know that we didn't sleep together, so it wasn't really an issue.
But it felt like they were able to like validate more than the principal was.
Well, yeah, because the principal was a lot more biased than my parents in the situation. This teacher had worked there for 30 years at this point. So like he had been grandfathered into the whole thing.
Yeah, my bad. He didn't get fired. He still works there.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. He still works there.
Wow.
There was no physical contact, so technically no crime was committed and nothing happened to him. Everything came down on my shoulders.
Did you show them the gifts that he had given you and the note and everything?
Oh, yeah. My parents knew all about it.
Did you show the principal?
Oh, no, he knew about it, though, because I didn't have them with me. Like, we had this, like, there were parent-teacher conferences, and I had asked the principal, like, did you want to meet with my parents? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I hadn't prepared for any of this.
Oh.
So I didn't have them with me. Like,
But
it
if-
wasn't like, we're going to have a meeting this day at this time, bring what you need to bring. It was like very spontaneous.
Yeah, but if a principal was doing their job right, the conversation would have continued and they should have asked
Yeah,
to have
well,
seen it.
Yes, for
That's
sure.
that's a whole other can of worms, unfortunately.
Well, it sounds like now you're able to say that and acknowledge, you said it took you 4 or 5 years though to come to terms with the fact that you were being groomed / abused.
Mm-hmm. Well, because after it all happened and after I had graduated from high school, like, obviously I was still traumatized by it. I was still really struggling. And whenever I would bring it up, everyone would be like, you're just being dramatic about it. Like, none of this like happened to you. Like, why can't you show us proof if it did happen to you? So for a long time, I was like, this is probably just in my head. Like, nothing really bad happened to me. And then like I kind of grew up and I started working where I work now. And they're all like, no, that was literal abuse.
Traumatic invalidation.
We were just talking about this. You want to tell her? Because it was really helpful for me to know what it is.
Well, traumatic invalidation, there's trauma that isn't what people typically think of as trauma, but the fact that these people were invalidating your experience, that in and of itself is trauma, right? So traumatic invalidation, just after it all happened, just being told that what happened was basically all in your head or you were just being dramatic. It's horrible.
Yeah. It
But
was not fun.
It sounds like you've come a long way in like accepting it, which is really good.
I've tried, because I don't want to let him have that kind of control over me anymore.
Yeah.
Because for so long, it was like I would do anything for him. I would have done anything he asked me to do. And I can't say 100% that I might not if he just came up to me today and was like, hey, do this thing for me. But I know that like in my heart now, it's like I wasn't the one doing anything wrong. It wasn't my responsibility to make sure that wasn't happening. It was his.
And it's good to recognize that too.
And that's honest, by the way. That's totally honest to say, I don't know if that would happen again.
Well, and I haven't had any romantic experiences since then either. So that's kind of like my only like baseline for what romance is supposed to be like. So I haven't really had anything to replace what I think romance should be like.
Well, and you said that so sexual and romantic, so you're asexual, but when it first started happening, did you have like a crush on him?
Yes, absolutely. I had a crush on him and I thought that it would never go anywhere because he was a teacher, and why would it?
So if he wanted to, do you think you said you might have slept with him if it had continued?
In your written submission.
Yeah, I feel like I might have, just to appease him.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like I said, everything mattered. Like, he was the only thing that mattered. Like, I didn't care how I felt. It was like how he felt. Like, even when the rumors were happening, I was like, I don't really care what people are saying about me. I want to know if you're okay, which is so unhealthy.
So at the time you already knew you were asexual?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this wasn't, so people may ask, like we were talking about before, is that something that may come out of a trauma?
Like, your asexuality isn't a result of this
No.
experience. You knew that before.
Yeah, no, I have never had any sexual desire with
Okay.
anyone ever.
Okay.
So
So
Okay.
romantic,
it wasn't
just not
because
sexual.
of him.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen him since all of this happened? Because you still went to that school, no? And I mean, if you live in the same area, maybe, I don't know.
In the first couple of years before I had come to terms with the fact that it was abuse, yes, I did go see him a couple of times. And the first year after I was out of high school and I was in college, I did go see him for parent-teacher conferences for my brother. And when I saw him, he was so excited to see me, and he gave me this enormous hug,
Wow.
which set me back lots of steps in my progress.
Jeez.
So, and then I went to visit the school one day, but the principal kicked me out because I was an insurance liability. So he sent me crying in high heels on the ice, walking to my cousin's house.
Any thoughts about what he could be doing to other girls?
I worry about it every day. My cousin goes to school there and she has him next year.
Oh,
And I told her, I said, if he does anything even remotely creepy, I will come after him. You tell me and it will be over.
Jeez.
I worry about it every single day. It scares me to death.
It's got to be really hard.
But that's not on you. I mean, it makes sense why you would worry about it. But I don't know if you worry in a place that you feel like there's responsibility, because there isn't.
No, I don't feel that way. I just, it just worries me a lot because I wonder about people before or after me that didn't talk about their experience.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, for a long time, it was like I only cared about how he felt. So I never talked about it in person. And I actually considered not doing this because I didn't want to damage his reputation. And I'm like, you know what? F that. No.
Good job.
Yeah. I'm so glad you did. It feels like you've been silenced for so long. And I was excited to read this or to have you agree to come on because you deserve to be heard and validated.
Yeah. I wrote and published a poetry book about it when I was in high school.
Oh, wow.
But whenever people read it, they're just like, oh, she broke up with her boyfriend and she went crazy.
But there's so much more to it.
Yeah, because I just read a review like last week about it, and this guy was like, she went nuclear unstable. And I was like, I wish that I just went nuclear unstable because I broke up with my boyfriend. Are you serious?
How does it feel talking about it now?
I talk about it a lot with my coworkers because it does come up a lot here because I'm a librarian, and so I read a lot of teacher-student books because I'm searching for myself in them.
Wow.
So we talk about it quite a bit here, but I'm still a little afraid that you guys are going to be like, that's stupid, shut up. Like, that's still kind of how my brain works. But like, I've watched Alex for like 4 years. So like, I know that's not how it's going to be. Just my brain is like, they're going to say that you're stupid and that this is something you shouldn't even be worried about.
Yeah, we call those cognitive distortions. These are ideas that like you're going to have, that you're mind reading of what we're going to think, right? You can check in with us and ask.
And we don't think that. I don't. Do you?
Well, now that I'm sitting here like talking to you, I'm not worried about it. But like before, I was like, they're just going to be like, this is your story, really? And then just hang up.
Well, that makes sense based on everything you've went through that you would feel that way because everyone shut you down.
No, your experience and feelings are valid no matter what. And we were talking about that, like, you know, I'm not a starving kid in Africa, but I will never be. And that doesn't mean my own situation isn't as important, you know, because it's happening to me in the moment. So you can't compare yourself.
A lot of people had made me feel like because it wasn't physical, that the abuse wasn't as bad as other people who go through physical abuse. So I had felt and kept that close to my heart for a really long time, that you weren't physically abused, so you don't get the right to complain about it. And I'm just kind of coming around to the idea that that isn't true. Because I read a book where in the end, they said it doesn't have to be physical to be abused. And I was like, wow, that is the first validating sentence I have ever read about this.
Oh God, no. And that's horrible that, you know, and by the way, these days, well, I think there are certain schools that would certainly have taken into consideration everything that you're talking about and that he would have gotten removed from the school.
Yep.
For sure. And that it didn't happen at yours because it wasn't physical is bullshit.
Well, and it's a very small town, and the principal of that school is very, very, very concerned with appearances. So I think he just wanted to brush it off as a teenage crush and not actually have to deal with the fact that he may have a child abuser on his staff.
It's so upsetting. And just like the way that that painted you as like just if I don't want to project onto you, but I guess if I put myself in your shoes, I would have felt like, oh, I'm imagining this, like I've made it up. Yeah, horrible. Like the psychological trauma is very valid.
Yeah, I definitely felt that way. Like I was like, I have all of this physical evidence that this was something that should not have happened, yet everyone else is acting like I have just made this all up. So clearly none of this is what I think it is, and I should not even be worried about it.
What was your expectation when you submitted this? Was it to be, did you think it was going to be part of, like, how do you guys tell the people ahead of time which part their submission's going to be in potentially?
No, you just probably, did you want to talk to me when you submitted it? Do you think that was something that you thought would be kind of cathartic?
I wanted to talk to you because I love you, not necessarily because of the situation, but I definitely thought that this was a secret that might get your attention given your history and having a little bit of teacher thing yourself. So, so
This is nice for Meredith.
I kind of like typed it in being like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if like she saw this and I was in one of her videos, but it was never like my intention to be like on here with you. Like it wasn't like the sole mission of me submitting this.
And you even doubted doing it because you didn't want to hurt his reputation.
Yeah. Like I submitted the secret, but I was like, there are so many other people that are going to be submitting secrets that this is just going to get buried and she'll never see it.
I hope the fact that we chose it validates what you have been invalidated from for years. You know,
it definitely does. Like it feels like someone finally believes what I have to say, and that someone with such a large platform with so many things that you could have chosen other than me, it makes me feel like, wow, maybe someone actually does give a shit about me.
Yeah. I mean, this is a really terrible experience. And the second I saw that you gave your contact info, I was like, she needs to speak about it because you weren't able to.
Yeah, we're so glad that you did. And you know, maybe this is something you'll take with you and I don't want to say pay it forward, but pay it forward a little bit by being there for someone else who experiences something.
Well, and that's kind of why I also agreed when I got the email last week, because I was like, there are other girls, I'm sure, that watch Alex that have situations like this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of them are suppressed the way that I am. So I thought maybe by talking about it, I could help somebody else.
I'm sure
you have.
there are people listening who appreciated this.
Yeah.
Before we go, I am curious if you want to plug your poetry book.
Yeah, I would love to, because his name's not attached to it at all.
Yeah.
It's called Writings of a Scarred Mind. You can buy it on Amazon. But there are typos. My name is spelled wrong in the book because I spelled it wrong.
Okay.
And it was my senior project for high school. And it was kind of my way of like being like, hey, F you, teacher, I'm going to talk about this.
Yes.
And then like I made him come to my poetry reading and wrote a poem that was very specifically directed toward all of his behaviors.
Wow.
Because I was like, I hate you.
Did he react to it?
He just said I did a good job. I don't know if it's just because he's stupid or because he just didn't want to acknowledge it, but he was like incredibly dumb. And the fact that I even lowered myself to the level of being like in love with the dude that's so stupid, like still like gets to me today. I'm like, this guy was so dumb. Are you serious? Like, how did he become a teacher? He doesn't know anything. And yet I'm sitting here like in love with the guy when I'm smarter than him at 14.
Because it's literally, it's an abuse of power. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in reading the book, it's on Amazon. It's by Alicia Hollis. It was for a grade in school. Like I had to finish it. It was also like, I have written all of these poems over all these years, just keeping everything I know to myself. And yeah, I feel like maybe now is the time for people to see it and to read it and to hear me.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Hell yeah. Thank you for sharing all of this with us.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited and very thankful that you chose me because, like I said, I've been watching you for a very long time. And I really, really like the content that you make. And I think that you're an incredibly decent human being. And that, you know, sometimes it's hard to find, especially in content creators. So
thank you.
I'm really glad that we get to watch somebody like you.
That genuinely means a lot. And I really just appreciate you being vulnerable and open with us. And I'm proud of you for like sharing your work and your experience after everything you went through.
Especially at such a young age. I mean, you're already working through this and working on it and being aware of it at such a young age. So
yeah,
it's amazing.
Kudos.
I'd rather not be aware, but you know, if I have to be, might as well try and work through it.
Yep.
It'll only help. Wow.
Oh,
I'm proud of her.
I want to like give her a big hug.
Me too.
That was amazing of her.
I love that she shared her book at the end.
So good. She was so authentic and vulnerable and open and willing.
I also just like that, like validating that trauma doesn't have to be like the most extreme form. I feel like that's a theme of today.
Yep.
It's valid in any form.
100%. And there's nothing worse than being invalidated when it is valid. I hope this is cathartic for her and for other people. I feel like it will be.
Me too. Go buy her a poetry book.
I know. And I love that she's a librarian. I don't know that I've ever met a librarian that's not.
At the library?
Yes. Like, I was going to say that's not a librarian, but you know what I mean? Like that you didn't walk into
so
a library
pure.
and me. I know.
Yes, I do understand what you're saying.
Thank you.
Like you don't like meet
Go
someone
to
at a
dinner,
party.
yeah.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
I know. But they should be.
We love you for that.
Yes.
Keep it up. Okay, so our last segment is called Round of Applause to celebrate all the people who were vulnerable and opened up to us. And on top of celebrating that, we want to give the audience a little something to make them feel better because obviously this was like a little intense. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Great.
Because I know you've got skills up your sleeve.
I do.
I want to give the audience something that they can do to either ground themselves, feel mindful, just feel better.
Something that's mindful and can help distract or put you in a different mindset is music. And it doesn't have to be mindful or even like meditative. It doesn't have to be some super peaceful music. It can be anything, right? So you can listen to like some intent, like Bad Brains, for example. Do you even know who they are?
No, but I'm shaking my head. I'm like, sure. Yep. I love them.
They're intense. So, but I think whatever music, it can be happy, it can be sad, it can be anything, but it can just be something that takes you out of a space that you don't necessarily want to be in anymore.
But doesn't music sometimes put you further in it?
Mm-hmm. It does. So you want to do opposite action.
So you want someone that's happy to listen to sad music?
No.
I'm challenging you.
They're probably not trying to get out of that state of mind, though.
When you're in a bad state of mind.
When you're in a not
ideal,
ineffective state of mind. Yeah.
We don't need to use bad.
Right. But the idea, though, is that if you're trying to be mindful, you can still be mindful listening to like some loud, crazy, angry music, right? Because that's really soothing for some people.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you have to do the opposite, like listen to opposite music. But if that can be soothing for you, then do that. Right? Does that make sense?
I'm about 46% with you.
Okay. So for me, I love really loud, like Rage Against the Machine type stuff.
Okay.
And so
that's so cool.
And so like
sorry, I just think it's cool.
So like even if I was in a spot where I'm like, oh, that sucked, I could still like drive, like I live off, PCH, like drive down PCH listening to Rage Against the Machine, and it can like, you can take your anger or whatever you're feeling and you can use it in a cathartic, making changes type of way, right? So you can be like, this is not just, this fucking sucks. Like, I'm angry. I'm going to listen to this and like think about all the things I can do to make a difference.
Okay, help you feel it.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically use music in whatever way helps you.
Yes, in whatever way.
Okay.
So like, I think music, sometimes I forget about music even though I love it so much. Because I read a lot, and so I kind of forget about it. And then when I put it on, I'm like, fuck yes.
That's cool too.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, music does, it's empowering. I was really nervous because this was my one of my first episodes today, and I was nervous coming here, and I actively chose music that would help me feel empowered.
There you go.
So, well, that was the episode. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yes, I did.
I had a good time.
I so did. I want to be here all day, every day. This is so fun.
As of right now, we're hoping to have you once a month.
Yeah.
If that's cool with you.
I'll take it.
Okay, you'll take what
Maybe
you can
not
get.
all day, every day, but I'll take once a month.
Okay, well, thank you to my co-host, Meredith Levy, for coming today.
Me. So grateful.
And thank you to all of you for listening. Don't forget to follow, rate, and review Revealing Your Secrets, the podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, you are only as sick as your secrets, so send them to me. Go to castmedia.com/secrets, that's cast with a K, to leave a voicemail or fill out the anonymous submission form at the bottom of my show notes. Today's episode of Revealing Your Secrets is a production by Cast Media. I'm your host, Alyxweiss, alongside our licensed therapist who will be on the show once a month, Meredith Levy. Our producer is Amanda Elliott. Our executive producers are Colin Thompson and Harris Lane. Our editor is Patrick Carrion. Our technical engineer is Olivia Haas. And design and animations by Patrick Carrion. Thank you all again, and I will see you next week.